All right, let's just dive right in. Today, we're exploring a truly fascinating worldview by looking at 来自生命禅院 Lifechanyuan 导游学风的教诲和著作. Now, whether you're already familiar with these teachings and writings, or you're just curious about, radically different mindsets, we're going to break down how this specific philosophy attempts to solve the ultimate human dilemma, living completely, 100% free from earthly anxieties.
To really set the stage here, picture this stark contrast. On one hand, we have what conventional society considers the absolute peak of success, right? The multimillionaire. Feng writes about these wealthy friends of his who literally have enough money to last multiple lifetimes, but they're completely trapped. They're anxious about audits, stressed out by employee unions, and forced to hustle every single day. Now look at the other side, the self-described celestial life. Feng claims to live completely debt-free, with zero anxiety about food or shelter. He sleeps and wakes entirely at will, saying every day feels exactly like a weekend. So the ultimate question is, how does someone actually achieve that level of total freedom? So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First up, the celestial mindset. Second, the power of praise. Third, freedom from ownership. Fourth, transforming consciousness. And finally, the higher realms.
Okay, section 1, the celestial mindset, transcending everyday anxieties. How exactly do you go from a completely normal, everyday existence to transcending your worries? Well, Feng attributes his carefree life to a radical shift in how he views existence itself. He says, I live like a celestial being. Every day feels like a weekend, every moment like a holiday. That quote really just captures the core of this state. He explains that while a lot of his childhood peers back in the countryside just stayed in farming or merely chased the security of, stable government jobs, he had this unwavering belief in a greater destiny. He points out that by stepping completely outside of normal societal pressures and just refusing to be paralyzed by those what-ifs that keep everyone else tied to their desks, you can actually engineer a life of total bliss. Moving on to section 2, the power of praise, the psychology of confidence. So, what is this psychological foundation that allows someone to step so boldly outside the norm? What's really interesting here is how the Lifechanyuan community actively leverages psychology. They lean heavily into a concept known as the Pygmalion effect. The idea is super simple. If you treat someone like they're great, they're going to become great. But if you label them a scoundrel, they'll become a scoundrel. In this community, they practice what they call Chanyuan flattery. They deliberately praise and encourage each other, literally treating male members like celestial beings and female members like fairies. The philosophy basically argues that criticism and nitpicking are like destructive storms that diminish people, whereas relentless, sincere praise is like sunshine that perfects them. And this specific mindset was planted really early on for him. Look at this incredibly vivid anecdote from when Feng was just in the 4th grade. His homeroom teacher actually pointed at him in front of 60 classmates and declared, "He's a phoenix in the sky." And then she pointed to the rest of the class and said, "You are all hens on the ground." I mean, think about the psychological impact of that for a second. That single, powerful metaphor planted a seed of immense confidence. From that exact moment on, he secretly regarded himself as a phoenix in the sky, which fueled this lifelong refusal to just be ordinary. And this isn't just theory, right? It has highly practical applications. When Feng taught middle school, he constantly praised his students, and the result? Top citywide English scores. In his own family, he lavished praise on his brothers. Because of that, his older brothers happily took on all the heavy manual labor, and his younger brothers eagerly handled the light chores, which led to a completely conflict-free household. He also constantly praised his son's filial piety, which somehow resulted in his teenage son eagerly cooking family dinners for 6 straight years. So the crucial takeaway is that by systematically applying praise, relationships become totally effortless to manage and harmony is practically guaranteed. Section 3. Freedom from ownership. Shedding the weight of the world. So how does this whole phoenix mindset translate into actual material choices? Well, it manifests as a profound freedom from ownership and a deep, deep aversion to being tied down by worldly possessions. Feng's golden rule is that the moment you feel dissatisfied or restricted, you just have to walk away. He actually recounts holding over 20 different jobs and moving 15 times, just fully embracing the thrill of exploring the new world of change. To maintain that level of freedom, he argues you have to be willing to abandon literally everything: titles, records, houses, wealth, even traditional social connections. He uses a great analogy. As long as there's a watermelon ahead, you shouldn't waste your time stopping to pick up sesame seeds along the way. Just think about the number 10 for a second. Xu uses this really striking number to make a point about the sheer burden of ownership. Imagine trying to manage 10 companies, or having 10 spouses, or raising 20 children, or honestly, even just trying to fit 10 massive TVs into your living room. It's totally suffocating, right? The philosophy states that the desire to own things actually stems from a lack of confidence. The ultimate goal, according to this teaching, is to own absolutely nothing, yet have access to everything. So ask yourself, where do you fall in this dynamic? On one hand, you have a cog in the machine. This is exactly how Xu describes his really successful department head friends. Sure, they have great salaries and respect, but they are completely tethered to an 8-to-5 job, totally anxious about their security. On the other hand is his ultimate goal, being the machine itself. That means having total autonomy, making decisions purely based on your own personal will, and moving freely. It's a pretty powerful reflection on how we often trade our freedom for just a perceived sense of security. All right, Section 4, Transforming Consciousness, Mastering the Mind. Now, if you're going to live this freely, how do you handle the inevitable conflicts that pop up? The writings present this idea of transforming consciousness as a vital tool for dealing with uncomfortable environments or difficult people. And it illustrates this through a brilliant, super simple physical metaphor. Step 1. Look straight ahead at your current view. You see one specific scene, right? Step 2. Turn your body to the right. Instantly, an entirely new view. Step 3. Turn completely around, and the scenery changes yet again. This physical movement perfectly mirrors how easily we should be able to shift our mental perspective. If an environment or a person makes you uncomfortable, don't just stand there fixating on a closed door. Just turn around, change your consciousness, and a completely new path opens up. This brings us to a stance of radical, unapologetic individualism. When the power of your own thinking surpasses that of a theory or doctrine, you will no longer be bound by it. Xu explains that traditional ideas, doctrines, and societal rules, they're really just mental forces. The second you dare to disdain them, they instantly lose their grip on you. Basically, life is way too short to go against your own personality just to follow someone else's rules. Finally, Section 5, the higher realms beyond the earthly plane. Because for someone who truly loves freedom and constant change, the teachings actually suggest that Earth itself is simply too small. Let's compare our earthly reality with the extraordinary claims of the higher spiritual dimensions described in the texts. On Earth, we've got nations, families, conflict, and ordinary abilities in what they see as a tiny, dull, constrained environment. But look at the progression here. In the 1,000-year world, there are no nations or families at all. Just pure equality, abundant food, and zero exploitation. Move up to the 10,000-year world, and it's described as a joyful fairy tale where people can walk or literally fly at will. And then the ultimate destination, the Elysium Islands continent. The texts describe this as a realm with 80 billion celestial islands, each the size of Earth, where individuals possess supernatural powers and rule as the absolute masters of their own domains. When you compare that to the prospect of owning an entire Earth-sized celestial island all to yourself, staying on our actual Earth is viewed through a pretty pitying lens. The source text uses these incredibly vivid metaphors to describe it. Living on Earth is like a nest crammed with ants or a frog stuck at the bottom of a well, just staring up at a tiny patch of sky, completely unaware of the vast, spectacular universe that's just waiting to be explored. Which leaves us with this final, genuinely provocative thought taken straight from Xu writings. Don't you ever feel the urge to shake things up? Whether you view these higher realms as literal cosmic destinations or as profound metaphors for mental liberation, these ideas really challenge us to look at our own attachments. Are we just cogs in the machine? Are we bogged down by the weight of our possessions and the expectations of everybody else? It is absolutely a fascinating question to ponder. Thanks so much for joining me as we unpacked Lifechanyuan Philosophy3 de Chao Hui He Zhuzo. I'll catch you next time as we continue to explore the world's most interesting ideas.